Summer is the time for the most amount of outdoor fun. However, that summer sun comes at the expense of a lot of heat, a loss of breathing, or even worse. Heat waves are synonymous with summer. It's also the biggest weather killer in the United States. Between 1990 to 2019, an average of 138 people died from the heat, according to the National Weather Service. The next highest, floods, at 88. For most of the I-95 corridor, a heat wave is when you have 3 or more days with 90-degree or greater heat. However, that's getting a little outdated. In the most recent climate normals, Washington, D.C. has an average high temperature of 90 degrees for a few days during the summer. In South Jersey, Atlantic City International Airport now has a high temperature of 87 degrees for a few weeks during July. According to the National Weather Service, a heat wave is, quote, a period of unusually hot weather that typically lasts 2 or more days, end quote. To be considered a heat wave, the temperatures have to be outside the historical averages for a given area. But, as we just said before, that's not always true. I turned to some of my weather friends in the media world and a Facebook group that we have to see what a heat wave means in their part of the country. Adam Rutt, a meteorologist in South Dakota, said 3 days of 90-degree plus heat does the trick, just like the I-95 corridor. Joe Puma, down in Amarillo, Texas, says you need 3 or more days of 105-degree heat to get a heat wave. And get this, Mark Jonesy in Austin, Texas, says that they need a week of 100-degree or greater heat in order to have a heat wave. The most interesting response I got wasn't an answer, but it was a suggestion by a person named Justin Gertz. He's in Ohio. And he said, why don't we look at standard deviation to define a heat wave? Now, standard deviation is the variability within a set of numbers, in this case, temperatures. And he said, why don't we see what 3 standard deviations are from the average hottest time of the year to get the answer? Sure, it's a little nerdy, but I think it actually does a good job here. Looking at Atlantic City International Airport, our hottest time of the year has an average high of 87 degrees. Now, if you look at the 3 standard deviations above the average, that's 94 degrees, something that happens 6 times a year. Sounds a little more credible than 90 degrees, which can happen 1 or even 2 dozen times on an annual basis. For the Press of Atlantic City and Lee Enterprises, I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci.